Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? I do have a dark secret. My husband, he is a Tokoloshe, in which this Tokoloshe, it is a cat. I am a 28-year-old married woman. I live in a very beautiful house. I won't mention the place, but it is here in Gauteng. I have all the money that a woman could ever want or ask for. I drive a very beautiful car. My children, they go to private schools, and my husband, he is into a business where he supplies building materials from Joburg. He has trucks that go to his country in Zim. He is even about to open another hardware in Blawayo very soon. I am living a very beautiful life, but I have found myself speaking to a stranger that I met on TikTok. I am writing this to you because I am 99% sure that my husband sold his soul. He sold his soul so that we can have the wealth that we have today. Before I tell you my story about this terrifying black cat that is in my house, I want to be very honest about who I am. I want to tell you how I was raised and what I wanted in life. Even if it makes you angry with me, if this is what is going to make people to understand me, to forgive me. I grew up in a poor township. I saw my mother struggle every single day. My mother, she married a good, kind man who had no money. They loved each other, but I learned that when two people get married to each other that are broken poor, their children will grow up as broken poor, and love will never put meat on your plate. Because of that, I grew up with a very hard rule in my heart and bitterness. I hated dating broke, unemployed men. I told myself that I would never ever date a man who did not have money. When I was in my early 20s, many good young men tried to talk to me about marriage. Some of them were church-going guys. Some of them, they worked small jobs and they really loved me. But the moment that I saw a man using a taxi, wearing cheap shoes, I would look down on him. I would laugh at that man with my friends. I used to say that you should look at the man that is proposing love to you. If their shoe is bent, know that they are broke and poor. A broke man, I thought, had nothing to offer me because I wanted to have a car. I wanted to take my kids to school, to enjoy life like the way that I used to see other rich women doing. I did not want to end up with a poor guy and going to the public hospital. I wanted to give birth like a water bath. I wanted a ready-made life. I did not want someone that will come to me and then that person will say, let us hustle together. Let us be fine together. You should be fine before you think about sleeping with someone's daughter. I wanted a man that would give me money. I did not care how a man would get his money, as long as he could buy me expensive clothes, take me to where I wanted to be taken. That was my mindset, and that greed is the one that blinded me to the red flags when I met my husband. When I met my husband, he was 34 years old. He was not a church-going person. In fact, he was someone that was a heavy drinker who spent his days just drinking and just drinking. And he had a small growing business. He was supplying sand and stones to construction sites. He just had those tipper lorry truck which he was using. He was also the driver. I did not care about the smell of sweat because he used to work 24 hours. Sometimes he did not even have the time to bath. All that I wanted from him was money. I just fell in love with his wallet immediately. I did not care that he drank too much or he had some other things that he was doing. And all that I wanted from him was money. But when he managed to expand his business, when he bought a tipper lorry, he then said to me, no matter what happens, even if I get sick, even if there is plenty of customers, no matter what happens, this truck must not go to work and do deliveries every Saturday. Even if there is a funeral, even if it is a public holiday, this truck must not be on the road on a Saturday. I did not think about it. I just thought that maybe he respected Saturday, since I heard that there are those that go to church on Saturday, but he was not a church going person. A few months later, because he kept on making money, I agreed to get married to him. When I had gotten married, my auntie, my mother's elder sister, came to visit us from the Eastern Cape. She is someone that is a very boring, prayerful woman who spends most of her time praying and fasting. She decided to spend at least 1 week with us, and during that time, she started to watch my husband very closely. One evening, whilst my husband was out and about, my aunt then called me into the kitchen. She was very worried, and she said, "My child, this man, he has a habit of buying you expensive things, but I want you to open your spiritual eyes. I feel as if this man of yours, he is a devil that follows him. Your money is not clean. I do not even want it." In a dream, she said that she had seen my husband standing in the graveyard holding a hand with a shadow, and he was speaking to the people that were buried inside of that graveyard to come and work for him, because what they would do is that they would go to a dry riverbed where they will start to dig up for the sand and fill the truck with the sand and go and sell it in the location. Then my auntie claimed that she had seen him. He was busy calling the dead people, that he made them to climb onto the truck, and he drove them to the place where they were taking the river sand and selling it in the locations. I was shocked when my auntie said this. Honestly speaking, I did not want my auntie to see that I was angry. I was very angry at him. I did not tell him what was on my mind, but I thought that my auntie, she was jealous because her own daughters, they were married to guys that were never there, who could not even buy their own kids that they had with her daughters a loaf of bread. But my husband, he was working hard, and his truck was on the road every day, and I thought that she was bringing a township gossip into my beautiful suburb home, and she was just talking bad about my husband simply because she was jealous. I did not tell her the truth. Then came a Saturday morning in 2018 that changed everything. My husband, he had hired a new driver. He was South African. This guy, he had came through me because he was failing to get a job and experience. So he started to work for my husband. At first, my husband did not want to hire that guy. So because my husband, he had told me, and he had told me that the truck was never supposed to leave the yard where they used to keep the truck, as well as where they were making cement bricks, if it was on a Saturday. This guy that had been hired by my husband, he was staying in the yard. You know, these men, they always want to do deals whilst they are at work. So he then stole the tipper truck keys, and he went and he did a delivery, and he delivered the sand to this other house, and he returned back. No one even knew that this was what he had done. After my husband had returned back from wherever he had came from, he had a scratch on his face that I could not understand where he had gotten it from. And what surprised me was that the moment that our driver had left before my husband had left, I had seen a cat which was in my kitchen. Where this cat had came from and where it disappeared to, I cannot say that it just simply vanished, but I just walked out of the kitchen, but I could not see which window, or did it use the door? I really do not remember. When my husband came back, I saw that there was blood on his shirt. I asked my husband what had happened to him, because I thought that maybe they had tried to rob him when he was returning back home. My husband was always sweet at all the times. My husband, he pushed me to the side because I had asked him wrong questions. Since he did not want to speak to me about this matter, I then slept in another room, but I woke up late at night. What made me to wake up was that I could hear my husband. He was busy and he was crying. It was as if he was talking with someone who wanted to do harm to him. He kept on asking for forgiveness. So I woke up as a woman in my mind. What I thought was going on was like, maybe my husband is asking for forgiveness. He has a girlfriend that he has been dating. I'm going to catch him today. And I already had planned a revenge since he had pushed me to the side that time when he had returned back from wherever he had gone to. So I was still mad at him that he did not even bother to apologize to me. So I then went and I opened the door just a little bit. When I opened the door just a little bit, my husband, he was asleep, but he was sitting straight up and he was talking to someone that I could not see, and he was being apologetic. He was apologizing. Because of that, I was even afraid to return back to sleep with the kids because it was scary what I had seen my husband doing. I then went to bed. When I went to bed, my husband, he woke up and he said, "Oh, you were here?" And I said, "Yes." I did not tell him about the weird things that I had seen him doing when he was fast asleep. Just when I hit the pillow, when I started to dream, I saw an accident that happened. The accident that happened in my dream is not exactly the way that this boy passed away that had been hired by my husband as the driver. This boy, when I saw him, he was driving. Whilst he was driving, he was shocked to see that the steering wheel was being controlled by a black cat and it disappeared. And he found himself headed straight for the tree. He crashed into the tree, and that is how he passed away. I woke up, I was even screaming. The strange thing that happened when I woke up and I was screaming was that my husband, he was just looking at me and he laughed. You know, the way that he laughed at me. I even asked him if he was normal. It was like he was a madman. He was laughing at me uncontrollably, and he kept on laughing at me because I had been screaming and I had a nightmare. After he had laughed at me maybe for about a minute or so, that was when he just left the room. Where he went to, I do not even know. He just left the house. He did not even tell me where he was headed to. He only came back after the accident had happened. But the accident, it did not happen the way that I saw it happening in the dream. This is how Sipo, the guy that had been hired by my husband through me, passed away. He just died whilst he was sitting inside of the tipper truck. So what they used to do is that the one that will be driving the truck, when they go to fetch the building sand or the river sand by the dry riverbed, the driver does not get out of the truck because the way that they are doing is like illegal mining. So the truck is supposed to be ready to run away if it happens that maybe the police try to catch them. So the driver is always by the driver's seat. So those are the same boys that was working for my husband. They were the ones that did the hard labor because it's not easy. They're not using an excavator. They are just using manual labor to fill up the tipper truck with their shovels. So as they were filling up, they noticed that Sipom, he was just sitting and he was sleeping. They got mad at him that he was enjoying, he was not doing anything. That was when they went and they knocked on the door. He did not respond. They noticed that there was saliva that was coming out of his mouth. They managed to break the window of the truck, and then they found out that he had locked himself up and he had passed away. No one really knows what happened to him. At the hospital, they just said that he died because he had a heart attack. He was young. This young man. He had recently finished his university studies, still waiting to get a job, and he just died like he was an old man sitting in the truck. My husband, he did not return back. He only came back after the accident had happened. And when I told him, the surprising thing is that when he came back, it's like he was not even surprised. It was like he was not even surprised that there was an accident that had happened. He did not even care. He did not even want to hear about the dreams that I had had before. So my husband, he paid for the whole funeral thing. Like, it was so strange that someone is buried, then you go to the parents, even though you are the boss. Okay, he went there and he said that he wanted to pay for the coffin that was already inside of the graveyard. So he went to the place where they had kept his body, where they had bought the coffin. He paid for everything, for the coffin, for the time that Sipho's body was in the mortuary, as well as for the other expenses. It was very strange what my husband did at that time, but there was no one really who asked too many questions, because by then he was making a lot of money and he was starting to become so scary. Even other people, my relatives, they were like, your husband, we fear him. My own mother told me that she feared her own son-in-law. I would ask him, why do you say that you fear your own son-in-law? She would be like, I don't know. I feel like I fear him. I am afraid to be around him. That is why I do not visit him much often. That was another strange thing that used to happen. So my husband, he started to work with another South African guy, whom he is still working with to this very day, where they are doing tenders with their tipper trucks. The challenge that I am facing right now is that my husband, he talks to himself. And if you catch him talking to himself, you'll be like a madman. Even the way that he dresses right now, you will never say that he is a rich man. The last time I was so embarrassed, I went with him to the mall and I thought that he was going to wait for me in the car. He was wearing a tracksuit, no underwear. Then he had this very big jacket that he was wearing. It was a black jacket that was very long, and he was just wearing some slip-ons that he was wearing in the feet. And since he did not have an underwear, you could actually see that this is his manhood. I told him to button up his big jacket, and this made him to look more like a cartoon. And even the way that he is so messed up, he can be talking to you, but if he responds, if you ask him like a simple question like, what are we going to eat today? Then he will start to tell you that, oh, no, we are supposed to go to Mozambique tomorrow. We are going to meet that man. And it is very frustrating to be around him. I am thinking about divorcing him because he is starting to scare me. I had a dream, and in my dream, I saw my grandmother who told me that if I walk away from this man the wrong way, he is going to kill our sons. He will sacrifice them. And after that, when he would have seen that he has hurt me, he is also going to sacrifice me. So I have been trying to dream about my grandmother again, but she has not been appearing in my dreams. I am asking for any kind of remedies that any of you can give to me that can make me to dream about my ancestors. Maybe they can show me the way that I'll be able to protect myself from my husband, because I know for a fact that he is Tokoloshe. Your dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to us by our dear sister. That was the translation. She was saying that she even once saw her husband taking a cup, and then she followed him to the bedroom and he entered into the bathroom, and she had to throw away that cup because her husband then took some water from the toilet seat, and then he wanted to use that water to brush his teeth. And when she snatched the cup away from him, she says that he was shocked. He thought that he had gone to fetch the water from the sink in the kitchen. Maybe he is losing his mind. Let us speak with our DM sister in the comment section. She is saying that she wants advice so that she can be able to summon her ancestors so that they can visit her in her dreams and tell her what is it that she is supposed to be doing, so that she can walk away from her husband without angering her husband, since her grandmother once came and said, if you walk away, he is going to sacrifice your sons. Let us speak with him in the comment section. I'll be back with another episode.